Welcome to ADHD Whiskey, my name is Matt. Today we are reviewing a bottle that I never thought I'd get my tiny little Burger King sized hands on. But lucky for me, Slippin' Jimmy Copeland came into my life and he was like, hey Matt, I reserved a special bottle for you. It's Russell's Reserve 13 year. Heck yeah! Thank you so much, Jimmy, for this bottle. Here's a Jimmy joke about Jimmy that you might not like. I heard he sent me a Russell's Reserve 13 and not you. Boom, roasted. I call Jimmy the Jimmy Green Giant because he's enormous, and I'm not sure who he had to beat up to get me a bottle of this Russell's Reserve 13, but super happy he did, and I hope the guy deserved it. Brother's got some sledgehammers on him. And probably another in his pants. Before we get into this Russell's 13, let's first talk about today's video sponsor. Today's video is brought to us by our great friends over at Zbiotics. What is this Zbiotics you speak of, Matt? Great question, Matt. Let's take a closer look. Zbiotics is the world's very first pre-alcohol probiotic drink. If you're tired of feeling yucky the day after drinking, just take one of these Zbiotics, give it a good shake, put it down the hatch, and then when you begin drinking alcohol, Zbiotics is ready to go to work in your gut. I haven't been able to do the scientific study myself, but the people who have and formulated Zbiotics, they say that it works by breaking down the toxic byproduct of alcohol in the gut before it gets to the liver. So when you wake up the day after drinking, you can go for a hike, go on a shopping trip, or take a canoe down a river. So if you want to feel your best the day after drinking, click on my link in the description below. Go to zbiotics.com/ADHD or scan this QR code on the screen. Use code ADHD at checkout and you'll save 15% off your first box. And if you're feeling a little skeptical, that's okay. Zbiotics has a 100% money back guarantee. Also, Zbiotics wants to say thank you to my viewers by doing a special giveaway. Comment down below why you should be chosen for some free Zbiotics, and if they pick your comment, then guess what? Free Zbiotics for you. Thank you so much, Zbiotics, for sponsoring the video, and thank you, viewers, for supporting the people who support this channel. When I received the bottle, I wasn't sure how to tell which batch is which, so I did what any good man would do. I sent out a Matt signal to Ryan of Justin's House of Bourbon and Rarebird 101, David friggin' Jennings. And apparently this thing is from 5/27/22, which means that this is a batch 3, according to Rarebird 101. I don't think I'll argue with David Jennings about said batch numbers, so therefore, right here, right now, I'm saying this is a batch 3, Russell's Reserve 13. Oh, nice. America. Russell's Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 13 years old, barrel proof, non-chill filtered, 114.8 proof. It's got Jimmy Russell and Eddie Russell's signatures on it, so you know it's real. From father to son, the bourbon making mastery represented in this bottle is a true testament to the distilling legacy and strength of a Russell family tradition. By the way, met Bruce Russell, and guess what? He's a Southern gangster in all the nicest of ways. The legacy continues. Got the label a little wet, sorry. It's got a beautiful blue neck tag on there. Generations of Craft, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. I was just actually down in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky doing my very own Russell's pick. It's roughly like a 9-year Tyrone K, and it is absolutely delicious. And that pick is made available to my Patreon community. Thank you, patrons, for all the support. While I swirl this whiskey, why don't we take a gander over the Wild Turkey Distillery via aerial footage taken by a seagull I rented. Look at these views of Wild Turkey. The visitor center, the distillery, the trees, the bridges, the river. They say what goes around comes around, my son. Walk down the river 'cause the river don't run. That's just Nelly. Now that I've given this Russell's 13 a proper swirl job, let's go ahead and go in for a nose. For a 13-year-old bourbon, it's not V-plowing me in the face with like a Boss snowplow, but the oak is intermingled with like some cherry and definite rickhouse notes. Yeah. Wow, that smells good. There's layers of pie crust and red fruit, but when you put the knife all the way through the pie, you hit a nice oaky base layer. Actually, in a weird sort of way, I'm getting a little bit of citrus on here, a little bit of tropical notes, which is strange. There's like some orange peel on here, a little orange peel. I would say the orange pith, but that's too refined for some of you folks watching this video. You would hate my guts if I used the pith of an orange as a tasting or nosing note. Therefore, I'll just go orange peel to suit you. But if you want to be impressed with my knowledge of the anatomy of an orange, then it's the orange pith. I'm a man who loves a pickled beet, and although this doesn't smell extra pickled, it kind of has a nice red beet aroma, like if you made a fruit leather out of a beet. This is a super unique nose, and I'm extra excited to go in for a taste. So without further ado, I do want to do this in the mouth. So down the hatch, Russell's Reserve 13. Wow, that is very good. That is very good. This is my first sip of whiskey for today, but with that being said, I'm very impressed. The 114 proof actually doesn't hit you right out of the gate. It's like, instead of like hitting hard and then dropping off, it kind of ramps up in a nice, enjoyable way that I do appreciate. Oh wow. What began as light on the palate is still building, and the finish is tremendous. The finish on this whiskey is very good. Second sip. A lot of that fruit leather is kind of like binding up in an oily fashion and coating the mouth really well. It's weird because the viscosity of this whiskey isn't like over the top. It's not like taking over everything and drying you out, but instead it's lightly coating and oiling everything in there, and before you know it, everything is oiled and coated. Like a white duck who wandered its way into a BP oil spill. It has a little bit of that turkey funk that we're familiar with, but it's not over funky. It's funky in like the best of ways. Because we're getting the fruits, we're getting the oak, we're getting all the barrel influence out of this whiskey, but none of those things stand out and stand above anything else. It's just put together really, really well. This is a fantastic sipper, a fantastic sipper. Do I like it more than the Jack Daniel's 12 year this year? That will have to be a bourbon skirmish video, so hold on tight for that. But before I do that, I must score this whiskey and look at it objectively or subjectively, whichever one of those is correct. I can never get it right. I'm always wrong about that. I think Russell's Reserve 13 year is a great bourbon. Oh man, that finish, that fruit leather, oaky barrel char finish is just going and going. Today, Russell's Reserve 13 year, this barrel proof, non-chill filtered Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, courtesy of Jimmy Copeland, you son of a bee, receives a score from me of 8.4. 8.4 in the comments below. If you've had this and had the Jack Daniel's 12 year, how do you see that going? Which one do you think is better? Head to head, mano a mano. Jimmy Copeland gift versus Jimmy Copeland gift. Which one wins? Jack 12, Russell's 13? What do you think? Who do you got in a head to head? 107 proof versus 114.8 proof. Tennessee versus Kentucky. I love this stuff. So good. Until that video, or until next time, my name is Matt. This is ADHD Whiskey. Like I always say, keep your head in the clouds, but your mind on not renting cars that you can't afford, because once you rent them, you want to buy one. I rented a 2022 Mustang GT. It was a California special, had all the bells and whistles, the premium. It was an automatic. Shame on that person for buying one. Not shame on me for renting it. They didn't have a 6-speed, but still, I drove it and Portsky fell in love. And now, all I am looking at on the internet, besides when I'm in incognito mode, is 2019 to 2023 Mustang GT Premiums. And I'm having a really hard time not going to a dealership and getting declined for one. I used to have a 1999 Mustang GT and a 2004. Same body style. They were both 5 speeds and had under 300 horsepower, and they are what some people would consider to be slow. Slower than the way I talk almost, not quite. But these new things, they rip. Like 460 horsepower, just wow, 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 so fast. That Coyote 5.0 is just like making all the noise, and I want one. I want one. I will maybe go steal one.